And what is up, fam? Hopefully you guys are doing pretty good because I'm doing pretty good because I found an interesting video. Well, I really didn't find it. It was thrown to me in recommendations and through a couple other YouTubers, and I was like, you know what? I want to cover this. I want to bring some salt to you guys. So before we dive right into the salt content, if you guys enjoy this type of content, please leave a like and comment in the comment section. And hey, if you want more of this type of content, subscribe to the channel. It lets me know that you guys want more of this type of content. But anyway, all besides that hoo-ha and sellout stuff, let's go ahead and dive right into this. Oh, and one more thing too, please make sure you have yourself a nice little drink and a snack, and we'll just go ahead and dive right into this.
We need to talk about the Microsoft Activision Blizzard merger acquisition thing. I saw a poll online, and this is not one of those things where I saw one person say something and I'm going to outrage farm based upon what one obscure person said. I saw a poll and it said, is this going to be good for consumers? Yes or no? And it was an overwhelming yes vote. Since when was consolidation ever good for consumers?
You're using Dreamcast as an example? You do realize that dude is a straight up magnet for trolls to come troll him on his own polls, right? Also, if you're gonna sit there and say mergers are never a good thing, ever since T-Mobile acquired Sprint and Metro PCS, my service for my phone service has been absolutely fucking good. And not to mention the price that they give me for having my phone service ever since they acquired them has been absolutely top notch. And when they acquired them, my bill for my cell phone has dropped dramatically. So at least that has benefited me and many other consumers. But you know what? I don't talk for the other consumers that have their phone bill through these people.
Before we get into talking about all this money, let me show you my new wallet. Like most highly sophisticated people, I wear ridiculously tight jeans.
Duly noted and ignored.
Okay, I have to say something. If you're gonna look at me directly like that, in my face, into my eyes, into my soul, and you're going to say that, I am going to cut this part of the video out and fast forward a little ahead, because that was creepy as hell.
First off, I want to show you where some of this is coming from. It's not just the console wars of nonsense. It's not just a bunch of fans of Microsoft Xbox just being like, yeah, eat it, suck it, PlayStation fans.
Yeah, because a lot of us are not terminally online that like to stay online and actually fight over a piece of plastic for absolutely no reason, because we're here to game and have fun with gaming, and we'll kind of poke at people like you and make fun of you for your absolutely bad takes.
Well, let's continue this narrative.
Good news, I think, is starting to prevail that ultimately, if it's good for the consumer, the government can't just block everything. And right now the government's been in a block everything. And as we've said repeatedly, in many of these...
So did you hear what he said there? If it's good for the consumer. And when I first heard that, I was like, oh, he's going to argue that it's bad for the consumer because he's saying if.
You absolutely jumped the gun for absolutely no reason. Instead of listening to the guy's full statement, your little unga bunga mind said, ooh, he said if, he's going to make a good argument. Ooh. Really, dude? You need to sit there and wait for his full statement. But I'm starting to see why the others are covering you right now, because oh boy, we are not anywhere close to finishing this video, guys.
These examples, these deals are actually good for consumers. They're good for pricing. They're good for choice. And
they're good for pricing. They're good for choice. Having one corporate overlord own everything.
I just love the blissful ignorance you have displayed here in this whole situation. Not to mention that you insulted the guy, that he's just this empty vessel, this corporate advertisement for them. And on top of that too, I don't know where you get this idea that Microsoft is just going to own all the fucking game developers and all the publishers. Do you realize their war chest is not as big as you think it is? That they're going to end up buying every single publisher and developer. You think Sony's just going to give up and say, here, just take the company, take all of our IPs? You think Nintendo's just going to sit there and say, hey, take all of our IPs, we're going to sell it all to you? Do you realize Pokemon by itself is one of the most successful franchises? Do you understand that it beats out Call of Duty any time of the fucking week? And I'm not talking about quality or anything. No, I'm talking about like sales of like video game plushies, you name it. You slap Pokemon on there, it's a guaranteed fucking seller. So to sit here and think that, you know, Nintendo and PlayStation would just roll over and sell everything that they have would be absolutely delusional. Not to mention that Sony over here is pretty much killing it in the market and doing the same things that you're accusing Microsoft of doing. Like, can we have a brain cell in our heads and actually do research before we open our mouths?
Our government used to break up monopolies by saying it's bad for consumers, it's bad for the market. We don't want to have just one company that controls everything.
Okay, all right. No, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. Why should... Fair enough, man.
I swear to God, some of you fanboys seriously need to go pick up a dictionary. Go pick up a dictionary, get the hell off of Twitter, and read the definitions of the words that you are using. I don't think many of you, maybe about like 95% of you fanboys, have zero idea what you're talking about and zero idea what a monopoly actually is.
And we believe that it's better for the people if there's less competition, because one giant mega company can come in and control the entire supply chain, and we can lower the prices for them and we can take better care of them, and it's more convenient because now instead of having to go through multiple different companies and go to one store to get your cheese and go to a different store to get your vegetables, we can go to one store and buy everything, and it's cheaper and easier for the consumers.
Yeah, see, this is where your argument starts to fall apart. You see, the pure fact that you think that Microsoft is going to own the whole video game industry is not going to work that way. You see, and I hate to say this, I really do, about the console market and the PC market. There's a reason why Microsoft bought the ABK. Not just for Call of Duty and all their IPs. No, they wanted King, the people that actually make mobile games, because Microsoft wants to invade the mobile space and start making money there. And if we're going to go by, you know, the terms, the actual true terms of a monopoly, and if they truly wanted to own all of the fucking market, all they would have to do is buy Google and Apple, and they would own all of gaming. They would be the top dogs in this situation. But I don't think Google and Apple is going to sell to Microsoft because they're making way too much money to even think about doing that.
So and that she blocked the FTC's complaints. This face right here, this is the person who decided that, you know, they should be allowed to merge because it's good for the consumers. So it's good for the consumers that Microsoft is going to have a huge share of the market, massive share of the market, and that they're going to be able to put all that stuff on their console and withhold it from other consoles.
This dude has zero idea of what he's even talking about. You do realize they're still bringing Call of Duty to the PlayStation, and due to the fact that Jim Ryan really fucked up in this situation, that Xbox is not legally required to bring any other game except for Call of Duty. And since your ignorance is such a bliss, did you know that they're bringing Call of Duty to the Nintendo Switch for people to enjoy Call of Duty on there and many other games? No, of course not, because you haven't been following this court case at all, and you just want to jump in and say, well, not a couple, but a lot of ridiculous things. Oh, and that judge that you're saying like, oh, she's the one that did all of this. Yeah, that judge is pretty base, and I am so happy she put the FTC in their goddamn place, because, spoiler alert, the FTC was not protecting the consumer, they were protecting the corpos.
How is that good for the consumers? Oh, well, they're going to give them a better thing because then they can get all this stuff under one umbrella. They can get all their stuff from Bethesda and its software, and since they've got it all, they'll just lower the prices.
Okay, let's just put this to the test of the theory real quickly. So say like 5 Xbox studios put out 5 games in a year, right? Each one of them is going to cost me $75, okay? 75 times 5 equals $375. But if I get Game Pass for the next 12 months, 11 times 12 equals $132, meaning I'm literally saving like $200 just to access all 5 of those games plus more, meaning that is bang for my fucking buck.
Shows that when companies like Amazon exist, and once they completely destroy all the mom and pops and all the small competition, they don't lower their prices. That would be insane for them to do. Once there's no other choices for the consumers, they can just raise their prices as high as they want. And that is what they have done. That's why we've seen record inflation. It's not because we're printing gazillions of dollars. That's a small piece of it. The truth is that the companies are just extremely greedy. So inflation is just a measure of how much the price of goods has gone up.
Do you even process what you say before you say it? Because you sound fucking stupid.
Yes, it is, due to printing money and that we gave out so many stimulus checks during that time. Get a load of this shit, dude. The value of the dollar drop. The money is not excused from supply and demand. And to water this down for a lot of people that don't understand, the more and more you have of it, the less of value there is for it. This is the basic foundation of fucking supply and demand, and how people do not understand these values confuses the hell out of me.
You can start to set different guidelines and completely squash culture. They start shoving everything into this tiny little box that everything has to be made a certain way, the certain formula has to be used, and we have to produce stuff that's gonna, hit mass appeal.
Guess what? It hasn't been working out for Disney not too well, dude. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm looking at how much the fucking Flash has sold at theaters right now. It is terrible. It is like down. This is probably one of the worst selling Marvel movies I've ever seen in my life. And that is really saying something. Hell, I'll even throw Microsoft into this situation too. When they tried to make Halo Infinite mass appeal to everybody, the game absolutely flopped hard when they tried to appeal to everybody. And I'm going to tell you guys why the market is just like, we don't need this, because movies and video games are luxury items. They do not matter in any type of this situation. Now, like food and medicine, yeah, that matters, and that needs to be regulated hard.
Look at this. This is another thing. Warner Brothers, they're the other thing. Like, you got Disney and you got Warner Brothers, and they own all this, and we've got Multiverse the game, which I guess looks fun. But, it's a good way to look and just see how ridiculous all this is. You have Superman in the same game as Arya Stark, in the same game as Bugs Bunny, in the same game as Shaggy, in the same game as Batman, in the same game as Tom and Jerry, in the same game as Wonder Woman, in the same game as Adventure Time. Finn the Human. That's what I was looking for. Now, I guess some people think that that's awesome, but it's weird. It's really weird that all of this culture is just kind of slammed together. Okay, I think it's a little gross. Whether the game's fun or not, and all this is make-believe and it's all silly, but I really miss the individual quirkiness that each individual thing has, each individual brand.
Each one of them has their own brands to bring to the table in the first place. Velma is still Velma, Iron Giant is still Iron Giant, Bugs Bunny is still Bugs Bunny, Batman is still Batman, Superman is still, Superman. You guys would get what I'm saying. This in no way has affected any of these characters. This video game that you're hyper-focusing on right now has not affected the characters in any way or shape or form that you are suggesting. The only real bad thing that has happened lately is that this game got closed down for whatever reason Warner Brothers decided to do with it.
And this is just me ranting right now. All right. I think that's kind of what's going to happen with all this Microsoft stuff. If we get that much under one umbrella, it's going to be bad for culture. And that's the main thing that I really care about. The money is really important, and I think it will be bad for consumers. It will remove choices from consumers. You'll have to choose one platform over the other to make sure that you get the games that you want.
Do not sit there and say that you understand our culture by any means of the necessary. Throughout this whole video, you have proven that you do not understand a lick of it at all. On top of that, it would be extremely badass if we got our own Super Smash Bros. For Xbox. Like Doom Guy, Master Chief, Conquer, Banjo-Kazooie, all put into this one fighting platform and just seeing them fight each other. It would just be so cool and something that would breathe life into the Xbox ecosystem. Also, I'm just going to say this too, it's not locked to the Xbox console. You're going to still be able to play Call of Duty on PlayStation. You're going to still be able to play fucking Call of Duty on Steam. And also, here's a bonus fact for you too, because I know you didn't do your research. It's going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch or the newer Switch, either one, whatever Microsoft decides to do.
Hopefully this will go through. I'm making the video before I know what's happening with this, but hopefully the appeal becomes a thing. Hopefully they get a little more focus, but this is not going to be good for you. This is not something that you should be gloating about on social media. This is not a way to score one against the other console people that you hate so much. This is not that. This is bad for all of us. It's bad for culture. It'll set a terrible precedent moving forward.
Yeah, spoiler alert on that one. The FTC have lost their appeal on that one. And here's a bonus fact, too. Since, you know, you're so into culture and stuff and you understand our culture and stuff, do you know what Microsoft recently did with the Call of Duty servers? Not the ones that the recent Call of Duties released. I'm talking about back in the 360 days. The servers are back up and running. And I have played Black Ops 2. Yes, I played Black Ops 2 again. And I played 30 matches in a row, and guess what? Not a single hacker again. And I'm telling you right now, I haven't had this much fun with a Call of Duty game in a long time. At least Microsoft's actions here actually prove that they actually care about the culture. Unlike you did absolutely zero research into this. And thankfully that is the end of the video. Thank goodness this is over, because I could not stand this guy and his ultimate understanding of how our culture works. Like, get the fuck out of here. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Later, fam.
Like a baby, yeah.